ask them to join because we'll be starting in exactly 1 minute. We would rather not have to extend the session beyond 4 because you guys will probably have other stuff to do. So let's start on time. Okay, can you guys see my screen? Can everyone see my screen? Hold on, I will go into full screen. Um, yeah, I would recommend you pay attention to what I'm saying. Aadha like data. Uh, I will be programming alongside you guys. So make sure you, oh yeah, make sure all of you guys have a collab notebook open. So you'll see here, I have questions here that I would do in the session. So make sure that you guys also attempt it when I'm attempting it. Sorry, Karan, you want me to make notes or was that for? Wait, let's start. Um, so you guys will remember, hopefully you guys remember till last class we did if statements. Before I do loops, I just want to do this one question over here. So that you guys can understand the thought process that you should be following when you're writing Python programs. So what does the question say? The question says, write a program that checks if a number given to you is even or odd, which means we would have to divide the number by 2. And if the remainder is 1, that means it's odd. If it's not 1, if it's 0, then it's even. So in programming, we call this pseudocode. Okay, I don't mean to run that. But in programming, we call this pseudocode. This is not code that the computer can run. It's just like a set of instructions that the user would write down, that the programmer would write down, so that it's easier to program by looking at these comments. You can already see that by looking at these comments, it's very easy to figure out the Python program. First, we'll divide the we'll get the number from the user, we'll divide it by 2. If the remainder is 1, we'll print that it is odd. If it is 0, we'll print that it's even. So let's do that. First, I will get input from the user. So I'll do number is equal to int input, enter an integer very specifically. So remember, input gives you a string. You want to do int around that to convert that into an integer. Only then I can do arithmetic on it. So let's make a variable called reminders to store the remainder. Once again, the percentage operator, the percentage implies that it's the modulus operator. The modulus gives you the remainder. So we're finding the remainder of the number modulo 2, which is basically telling us what the remainder is when you divide by 2. If the remainder is equal to 1, we want to print the number is odd. Else, the number has to be even, right? If the number is not odd, the number has to be even. Just to be safe, I could do elif remainder equals 0, just to be safe. But then this is not necessary. It's highly unlikely that if the remainder is not 1, it is not going to be 0 as well. So if you want to be safe, you can do L if remainder is equal to 0, but it's not necessary. Remember the equality check is a double equal to sign, not a single equal to sign. If you want to check if two values are equal, you will have to use equal to equal to. So if the remainder is the same as 1, then print the number is odd. Else, if the remainder is 0, print the number is even. So let me run that. I'm going to enter 25. 25 is odd. Thank goodness. And I'll give it 16. And the number is even. So this is a sample program this is a sample program that shows you how you would use a very basic if else statement. Of course, you guys would not need that if you already attempted the assignment. The assignment is a lot more difficult than this. But to those of you who have still not completely understood if else, try out simple programs like this. Go through the resources that I've linked in the collab notebook. It's there in Teams, and then attempt the assignment. Okay, so you guys can ask questions now in the chat. I'm looking at the chat right now. So before we move on to loops, if there are any doubts you have in if statements, you guys can ask. Right, no doubts. Exit. Exit will exit your whole program. I won't cover that here, but if you have more doubts, you can DM one of the uh, administrators. Yeah, but let's not raise out of portion doubts in this session. Let's keep it on topic. Okay, so I will assume no doubts and let's move on to loops. Okay, so far in the programs that we've seen, every statement executes once and then Python moves on. What if I want Python to execute some piece of code multiple times? I want to do it 5 million times. In that case, you would put it inside a loop. You will tell Python until this happens or do this some n number of times, do this piece of code. So Python has two loops which help you with that: the for loop and the while loop. The while loop is arguably the simpler loop over here. You give it a statement. If the statement is true, it'll execute the block of code and go back. So if the statement is true, execute. Again, check the statement. Is it true? If yes, execute. Till the statement is false, the while loop will execute your block of code and then it will exit and move on to the next statement. In the for loop, you give Python a sequence of data. You give Python not just a list, but any sequence of data. And one by one, Python will iterate over that data sequence. And you can perform some action for every item in that sequence. So since while is simpler, let us start with the while. I'll walk you guys through an example, and then hopefully things will become clearer by then. Okay, all of you should know what an arithmetic progression is. It is you start with some initial term, you keep adding a constant difference, the progression difference to the term to get your arithmetic progression. Let us take the arithmetic progression of natural numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to some n. We have to calculate the sum of that arithmetic progression. So what is the formula for the sum 1 to n? Right, you guys should know this. What is the sum of 1 to n, the natural numbers 1 to n? Precisely. N into n plus 1 by 2. Now the purpose, we could directly code that formula in here. We could just say AP sum is equal to n into n plus 1 by 2. But the purpose of this question is to show you how to do it in a loop. So let's just use that formula to verify our answer. Here we're taking n is equal to 10. So the sum we get should be 10 into 11 by 2, that is 55. Okay. So how do we do this programmatically? We would initially we would loop for every number 1 to n, we will have some sum variable and we'll add our number to that sum variable. So let us set our initial sum to 0. Let us set our initial pointer, our initial number to 1. I'm calling it a pointer because I will point to this pointer represents each number in the sequence. It's just a convention that we use. Um, so, so to get the sum of each number in your sequence, you would increment your pointer by 1 in each iteration of the loop. You will add your new pointer to AP sum, and you will stop when your pointer reaches n. So how do we write that in code? First, let's do the initialization statements. AP sum is 0, pointer is equal to 1. So the first number in my sequence is 1, and my initial sum is 0. I add starting from 0. Now my pointer represents each number in the sequence 1 to n. So that means pointer is always less than or equal to n. If pointer becomes larger than n, I want to stop executing. So while pointer is less than or equal to n, add pointer to AP sum. So I'm saying AP sum is equal to AP sum plus pointer. That just means I'm adding pointer to AP sum. We have not discussed this yet, I think. You'll notice I have the same variable on the left and right sides. That just means I'm incrementing the left side variable by this second value over here. So I'm taking the value of AP sum, adding pointer to it, and putting it back in the variable AP sum. So I've added my number to the sum of the AP. And now let us increment our pointer by 1, which is what I'm doing with pointer is equal to pointer plus 1. So once this loop exits, I will print out the value of AP sum. So let's see if we get 55. Yeah, we do get 55. So you guys understand the program here. Are there any doubts regarding the program that I've written? No doubts? Okay then. So now I have a question for you guys. What would happen if I move this statement up here? What would I get? Okay, Sudeshna, you cannot do pointer plus plus in Python. That is invalid. Python does not support that notation. So yeah, if I did pointer is equal to pointer plus 1 before I started adding the sum, look here, pointer is initially 1. And then when I start off the loop itself, I'm making it 2 by incrementing it. And then only I'm adding it to my AP sum. So first AP sum will become 2, and then 5, and then 9, and so on. So this is a message you guys should have. This is something you guys should remember while you're programming loops. Be wary of your initial and final conditions, or the boundary conditions, so to speak. Always make sure that your boundary conditions are correct. You're starting from the right number, you're ending at the correct number of loops. So you guys can see how one difference in the line order messes up everything in the program. Okay, if I were to run it, what would you get? 65. So you go from initially you start from 2, you increment your pointer, you go to 3, add it, go to 4, add it, go to 5, add it. When the pointer is 10, this condition still satisfied. Point 10 is still less than or equal to 10. But then once it starts executing the code block, pointer now becomes 11. And then the AP sum, you add 11 to it. And only then it exits. So this is why the order of your statements is very important. Okay, so now I have a sample program for you guys. Let's write a program. Let's write a program that calculates the factorial of a given number with a while loop. What is the factorial of a number, guys? It's how what is the definition of a factorial? N into n plus 1, sorry. 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 all the way up to n. Or yeah, n into n minus 1 to n minus 2 all the way up to 1. Incidentally, not related, but you guys should know the recursive definition of a factorial, right? N factorial is equal to n into n minus 1 factorial. And the definition of 1 factorial is 1. Precisely. So I can expand that. I can expand n into n minus 1 factorial one more time, n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 factorial, and I can go on. Keep this in mind, it will come in handy later on. Okay, so before we start programming, let's write our pseudocode. Let's write the instructions we should follow. What is the definition of a factorial? 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 all the way up to n minus 1 into n. So we have the data, we have the sequence of numbers we need. How do we do this? So what I'll do is I'll initialize a factorial variable to 0, and I'll initialize pointer to 1. So pointer is the first number in the sequence. Sorry, factorial to 1. Because if I multiply something by 0, I will just get 0. So pointer is the first number in the sequence, and from there I will increment pointer one value at a time and multiply it to factorial. So till pointer less than or equal to n, multiply pointer to factorial, or till pointer equals n, till we reach this. Or actually, we should be including n. So till pointer greater than n, we want to stop at pointer equal to n. So till pointer is greater than n, multiply the pointer to the factorial. How do I now? Let's realize this in our program. Initializing factorial to 1, initializing pointer to 1. So I've created two variables, factorial and pointer, set them both equal to 1. While pointer less than or equal to n, till while pointer is within the range n. And that reminds me, I have not defined n. Let's take n is equal to 15. While pointer is less than or equal to n, we will multiply pointer to factorial and then integrate increment pointer. We will not increment first because we will run into the same issue we saw over here. So factorial is equal to factorial into pointer, and pointer is equal to pointer plus 1. Then let's print factorial. Let's run it. Does anybody know if that value is correct? 15 factorial. I have no clue. You know what? Let's just try to the smaller number. I don't know. 3 factorial would be 6. 4 factorial will be 24. So yeah, okay. It seems to be correct. 5 factorial is 120 and 6 factorial should be 720. Yeah, okay. It seems to be correct. So I will assume it worked for n is equal to 15 as well. Okay, so do you guys have any doubts in this program? Okay, the order does not matter. I can do 1 into 2 into 3 into n all the way up to n, or I could go from the reverse. It doesn't really matter because multiplication does not depend on the order of your arguments. It is commutative. Okay, I shall assume no doubts. I'll move on. By the way, over here, we keep doing factorial is equal to factorial into pointer, or pointer is equal to pointer plus 1. AB sum is equal to AB sum plus pointer. There's a shorthand notation for this in Python. You can just write factorial into equals pointer. That just means multiply factorial by pointer and store it in factorial. Similarly, I could write pointer plus equals 1. Add 1 to pointer, store it in pointer. So just to assure you guys that it still works, I still get 720. Okay, now let's do the exact set of questions with a for loop. Yeah, functions coming soon, right after for loops. Hold on. Okay, let's do this with a for loop. Arguably with a for loop, this is simpler. This set of questions is simpler. So first we would initialize n to 10. And then we'd set AP sum to 0. Oh dear. Okay, hopefully this saves a minute. Can you guys still hear me? Are you even?
Yes, yes, able to hear you.
Okay. I thought my internet was out. Okay, so yeah. So remember when I introduced for loop to you guys, I said in a for loop we iterate over a sequence of data. If we were going to calculate the uh, AP sum of a sequence, the sequence of data that I want would be each element in the sequence. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to n. Um, how do we generate this sequence from 1 to n? Python is, once again, I love Python for this. Python has a lot of convenient functions. We use the generator function called range. With the range, you give it a start, a stop, and a step value, and it generates the range, the number range from start to stop, incrementing in step. So if I gave range 151, 1 is the start value, 5 is the stop value, 1 is the step value. So it will give me 1, 2, 3, 4. Note that just like in indexing, the first value is inclusive. We include the first value, but we do not include the second value. We stop before we reach 5. So we go 1 to 4. If I wanted the range 1 to 5, I would have to give range 1, 6, 1. So what happens if what would I get if I printed this range over here? So in this range, we get 5, 8, 11, 14, 17. So in this range, my start value was 5, stop value was 18, and my step value was 3. So my range would be 5, 5 plus 3, 5 plus 3 plus 3, so on, all the way up to 18. But remember, you cannot include 18. You cannot go above 18. So I have 5, 8, 11, 14, 17, incremented in steps of 3. Now Python does not require you to give all three values. You can see there are three parameters I have to pass, but if I do not pass the step parameter, if I give it only two parameters, Python will take the first two as my start and stop. It will take the step as one by default. So if I did range of 5, 18, 3, I would get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 17. What if I gave it only one value? If I gave it only 5, then Python will interpret this as the stop value. It'll take step as 1 and start as 0. So I give range 5. I should get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0 is the start, 5 is the stop. But remember, it's not inclusive of my stop value. And the step value is 1. Okay, so now we have our way to generate um, the sequence. So look here. So this is how. Oh, okay. Actually, before I go there, sorry. Does anybody have a doubt in the range? Oh, you guys have actually sent the range. Okay, nice. You guys have any doubt in the range generator? You guys, please reply fast if you guys do have a doubt because we need to move on to NumPy. Okay, no doubts. I will assume that is true for everyone. Okay, then. Yeah, so look at this. Look at now let's try to make this and let's add this to our for loop. Look at this syntax. We give the for keyword for. We define some variable. I do not know what variable this is yet. I will come to that in a minute. The in is necessary in all for loops. So you're basically saying this variable on the left will will move over the sequence on the right. So on the right, I've given my sequence 1, n plus 1, 1. 1 is my start value, n plus 1 is my stop value, step value is 1. Note that I've given the stop value as n plus 1 because remember the stop is not inclusive. So if I want n, I need to set my stop value as n plus 1. And then in my loop, I will just say AP sum is plus equal to I. We do not need to increment it. The for loop will increment my variable I as it goes through my sequence. Add it to AP sum and then wait for the for loop to increment it. It will do on its own. So this, once again, this should give us 55 and it does. So notice how simple this is. It's literally 2 lines of code. Remember over here, I do not need this 1 in the step value. I could remove it because the default value of step is 1. So if I did that, the answer would not. Oh, it does change, but that is because I have to rerun this statement setting AP sum to 0. But yeah, the answer will not change. It is still 55. Okay, so now let's do the same thing very quickly. Let's do the same thing to calculate a factorial of a program with a for loop. I'm not going to write the pseudocode this time because I feel like it's fairly simple. We need to generate our sequence 1 to n. And this time, instead of adding it to AP sum, we just need to multiply it to a variable called factorial. So I will do that. I will initialize factorial to 1. I do not need to initialize my pointer. I will just say n is equal to 10 to actually let's not say 10, let's say 6. Because I know the value of 6 factorial. For I in range 1 comma n plus 1 factorial into equals to I. Print factorial. 720. 720 is indeed the factorial of 6. Does anybody have any doubts in this? No doubts at all? Okay. Uh, do you guys hear me clearly? Like, no voice lag or anything? Argument.
I think it's clear now.
Okay, fine. Maybe because data. Yeah, okay. We will finish our functions very quickly. Hopefully, we can finish it in like 10 minutes. And then I won't keep you back from NumPy anymore. Aryaman will take over. Okay, very quickly. A function. What if I wanted to run a piece of code multiple times? Or what if I wanted to be able to give it to someone else to run it? So we've already seen the example of a function before, the transpose of a matrix, which we did right at the beginning to show you how fast NumPy was. Over here, I defined a Python function. This is a function. So what if I wanted to do something like that? I want to be able to run it at my own wish whenever I wanted to. Or what if I want to run it multiple times in different settings, in different environments? In that case, I would define a function which performs that action. And the cool thing is a function can take in parameters. So I can tell the function, take this data, do whatever work you have to with this data, and give me the output. So the data you gave it would be called a parameter. This is a very simple function I have here for you, a function that prints hello world. So look at the syntax and try to figure out what it's doing. We say def to tell function we're defining a new function. We give it the function name. So in this case, print hello world. And then we give it two parentheses. This is compulsory. You must include this. There are no exceptions. After after the parenthesis, you will see a colon. By now, you guys should have noticed that whenever I see an indented block of code, there is a colon on the previous line. So inside that function, I'm going to call print hello world. Let's run it and see what happens. Absolutely nothing happens. There is no output. You guys can see the tick mark which says function, the code is run properly, but there is no output. Why is that so? That is because when you're defining a function, Python does not necessarily call it. You have to call it on your own. So in the next cell, I've written a statement that calls the function. I give it the function name and I give it an open and close parenthesis. So let's see. I get hello world. What if I call this 3 times? I would see hello world entered 3 times. So that is how a function works. Let's try making this a little more customized. I want to print hello name. So once again, def to define our function, print hello function name. Now this time inside the parentheses, I have given a variable name. So that means I'm telling Python, when I call this function, I will give you a name. And in the code below, in the block of the code of the function, wherever I've reduced the variable name, put that name that I gave you. So you can see over here, I've done print hello command name. Remember, if I wanted to print multiple values on the same line, I would use the comma. So if I do print hello equal to Keshav, and so in this print statements, it would do hello Keshav. So let's run that. Hello Keshav. So does anyone have any doubts on how you define a function and how you pass in parameters? Okay, def is short for define. or definition, whichever you prefer. It basically tells Python that you are starting to define a function. Yeah, don't worry about attendance, guys. The session is more important. We are taking attendance in the background. Okay, so now let's look at a function to check whether a number is even or odd. We've already done this with an if statement. Let's put it in a function now. I'm going to define a function called even odd. So implying that I'm checking whether the given number is even or odd. Parameter is num. So I give the function a number when I'm calling it. If num, and then after that, it's basically the same code that I wrote before. Look at this. This code over here. If number percentage 2 is equal to 1, then it's odd. If number percentage 2 is 0, then it's even. So let me run this. I'll call it with even odd 34. So now note that I'm setting num to 34. Is even. If I gave it 33, it is odd. Okay, but now I am printing the output. How do I store it in a variable? You guys remember we saw with input over here that the input is returned and not printed. So we return the input and I'm able to store it in a variable. We give it to the programmer. How do I do that? In that case, instead of printing it, I would just type out a return. Now look at this syntax. There's no parenthesis. There's nothing there. It's just return and then the value you want to return. So now what happens is instead of printing out even and odd, the function will do this if num percentage 2 equal to 0. And if it is true, it will return even. So if I was going to store this in a variable, the result is equal to even or odd. Now this result will store either the value even or the value odd. So you will not see anything printed because I have not printed out the value of result. If I print the result, I will get odd because 33 is odd. So does anybody have doubts about return? Efficient on runtime. Okay, this is out of portions, but I would encourage you to take a look at the execution time to print to STD or to print to the standard output. So if you want to compare the efficiency, look at that. Other like return, no, return is not the same as print. A print will print whatever you give it to the standard output, to the output of my cell. A return does not print it. I can use it, store it in a variable, do further operations on it, etc. It will not print it by default. Okay. So is that clear? Yeah, so you'll notice here when I had not done print result, there was no output because I had stored the result in a variable, but I did nothing with that variable. The variable was just sitting there. Only if I print result, it is of any use. So over time, you guys will come to see what why return is useful with the questions and stuff we do. But yeah, okay. Last two questions and then we're done. Before that, any other doubts? Thank you, Adalakirata. Okay, I shall assume no doubts and move on. Write a function to generate an n cross n identity matrix. And the next question is define a function to find the maximum value in an array. Now, because we're running low on time, I would like you I will only be doing the second question. In the assignment, I will add this question, and you guys can do that as a bonus. It's not compulsory, but you guys can do that as a bonus question just for the fun of it. So I will only do this question because we've got to start NumPy right now. Define a function to find the maximum value of the array. Let's call it max value. So my function name is max value. I need a parameter, so I'm going to call it numbers list. So my parameter is numbers list. My function name is max value. How do I check for max value? What I could do is iterate over every value in the list and keep note of the maximum value that has been seen till now. If I see a bigger value, update it. Okay. So in that case, I need to initialize my maximum value. I will initialize max val to first element in the array. Okay, so let's do that. Max val, I'll set it to a numbers list of 0. Now I want to iterate over every value in the list. So for number in numbers list. If my new value is bigger than max val, I need to update it. So if number greater than max val is equal to number. So if the current number is larger than the maximum value I've seen, then I will update the maximum value to this number. I will set it equal to this number. And then in the end, I'll return max val. So let's test this out with some arrays. I don't know, I'll num list is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's print the max value of this numbers list. We should get 4. We get 4. I know, let's add some negative values. So -5, -23. I should still get 4 because 4 is still the largest value. I do get 4. So yeah, this is how we write functions to do stuff for us. You guys should note that in Python there is actually a function that does this exact same thing. It's called the max function. It's a built-in, which I'll go into right now. But yeah, this is just an example. Yes, exactly, Jindal. This max is a built-in Python function. We do not have to write it. But yeah, this was an example. Okay, so any doubts? Any doubts related to functions and stuff? No, I did not initialize the list inside the function. I just told a parameter is just telling the function you will get this list. Don't worry about initialization. I initialized it outside over here. So when I give this parameter, I'm telling the function I will get a list from the programmer when he calls the function, and I'm going to do some operations on that list. I will not initialize it inside the list, inside the function. I'm doing it outside. Yes, what if we use two, what do you mean if we use two methods? Yes. I'm not sure I understand your question. Yes, could you please explain your question? Oh, explain the flow of the program. Yeah, so okay, this pseudocode, I will go through it. To find out the maximum value in an array in a list of numbers, first I will set my maximum value to the first number. And then now I will go look at every value in the list. And if at some point I see that the number is greater than my current max value, I will set that max value equal to the bigger number. So if we proceed through this, we should see that by the end of the list, we'll have the maximum value in the list. So let's try that for this example. Max value is 1 because that is the first value. Let's look at the next number. Max 2. 2 is greater than max val. So I set max val equal to 2. Next value 3. 3 is greater than max val. So I will set 3 to max val. Similarly, 4. I will set 4 to max val. Now I have minus 5. Minus 5 is less than max val. So I do nothing. My maximum value is still 4. And the same goes for 3 and then minus 23 and then 1. So by the end of the program, I have 4 as my maximum value. Is that clear, Shrishti? Yes. Yes, I still do not understand your question. Would you like to DM me? You should find my number in the group. If you like, you could DM me after class and we'll discuss in detail. Okay, so Python has a lot of built-in functions. I will very quickly go through them because it's already 2:45 and Aryaman will be starting NumPy. But yeah, Python has a lot of functions you can use. These are some of them. You can quickly go through them. I'm going to run two of them at max. So over here, I have two lists for you that I'm going to run these functions on. Array and bool array. Bool array is a list of booleans. Array is a list of integers. Let's do max array. The max of the array should be 92. Min array minus 4. Let's find the length of the array. How many elements are there? There are 5 elements. It gives me 5. Let's do any of bool array. So the any function tells you whether any of the values are true. So you can see here I have 3 true values. So at least one value is true. So it should give me true. If all the values are false, if there was not a single value that was true, then it would give me false. By contrast, the all built-in would return true only if every single value in your array is true. So that is not the case here. So right now, all should return false. I can sort my array. So I would do sorted of array, and it will give me the array in ascending order. If I wanted to make it descending, all I have to do is give an extra parameter to tell it to go back to descending. I can find the sum of the array using the sum built in. I do not know if this is indeed the sum, but hopefully it is. So yeah, that's all for fundamentals of Python. Do note, I stress on this a lot. This is not a comprehensive lecture on the basics of Python. There is a lot that I have omitted. I would strongly recommend you go through some of these resources to learn the nuances and stuff that I have left out. Free Code Camp, I personally found it awesome to learn Python. Geeks for Geeks, W3 schools are also pretty good resources. The Python docs is very useful if you want to Google up one specific function or some functionality in Python because it is the officially maintained documentation. So any doubts so far, or can we go to NumPy? Okay, no doubts at all. If not, I'll give it to Aryaman. You guys hope you guys should enjoy NumPy. Uh, you actually I will not spoil it. Let Aryaman. Okay, see you guys. Thank you all.
Can you Hello, Keshav, am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead. Ariman?
I just wanted to share my screen.
Okay.
So, guys, I'll give you a brief background on NumPy. So, Python has many libraries, and NumPy is one of these libraries. So, anything with functions, standard deviation, mean, median, mode, any mathematical or scientific function has the most important. It also helps you with uses. So, overall, you should have a good grasp of this. And now I'll start sharing my screen. So,
Ariman, your voice is breaking a lot. Do you want to turn off camera?
just 1 minute. Right. So, I'm on Google. Okay, right. I'll just do that. Is my voice audible now?
Yeah, much better. Ariman,
Okay, function library. So this is direct stored numpy as np. Hello, Keshav, am I audible?
okay, but it is breaking a lot. We could not hear anything
Okay,
for the last like 1 minute.
okay, I'll
You want
just
to like
change my
start
Wi-Fi.
again? Okay.
Hello, am I audible now, Keshav?
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah.
Okay, okay, that's great. So, guys, I'll give you an intro again. NumPy is a mathematical and scientific computing library. So, any mathematical or scientific function will go through NumPy. It also deals with multi-dimensional arrays, matrices, any sorts of, these kind of functions. So, it is a pretty fundamental library, and I'm hoping everyone we should have a strong base in this library, for any Python computing. So, I'll share my screen now. Okay, so the first thing we have to do in Google Colab is we have to import NumPy. So the first code is import NumPy as NP. Basically, what I'm doing is instead of writing NumPy everywhere, the short form is NP. So this basically shortens it out and saves time. So anytime I write NP now, the compiler will understand that I'm referring to NumPy. So now we will move on with creating arrays. So Keshav, just keep regular in the chat, so you can clear any doubts in the
Yeah,
chat there. Huh?
yeah.
Okay, so now let's create an array. So I will be creating 1D, 2D, and 3D arrays both. So the code will be import numpy as np as usual, and let's say I want to create a 1D array. So the code will be r. I'm using r as a short form for array equals np dot array 1, 2, 3. So guys, this is a 1D array consisting of three elements. Now we can also create a 2D array. So a 2D array will have both rows and columns. So that is one thing to note. And guys, can anyone tell me how to find out the total number of elements in a 2D array? You can put it up in the chat box. How to find out the total number of elements in a 2D array? Keshav, just keep checking the chat box.
Yeah. Yep. Balu has said M into N.
Right. So the correct answer for finding the total number of elements in a 2D array is to multiply the total number of rows and columns. So in this case, I have two rows for the 2D array. I have two rows and three columns. So if I multiply it, that will give me 6. So that we know that the total number of elements in the 2D array is 6. Now, for a 3D array, many of y'all might not have heard of a 3D array. So I'll give you a background. So a 3D array is just like a 2D array, but it contains one more dimension. We can call that dimension plane. So there will be rows, columns, and planes. The plane is like the depth. It's like the depth of the array. So to find out the total number of elements in a 3D array would be rows into columns into depth. Now I'll just give you all a small visualization of a 2D and 3D array. So this is what a 2D array looks like. You'll have rows and columns, and you can now just multiply the rows and columns to get the total number of elements. And for a 3D array, we've got rows, columns, and planes. So guys, this is the visualization for a 3D array, and I hope it's clear. Now moving on. Now I will go on to generating a 2D array in a different manner. So now sometimes you want to create an array which is in an ascending order. So like you want the elements of the array to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or just 1, 3, 5, 7. So I'll tell you what the code for that is. Import numpy as np. We start with that always. So array, it's a 2D array I'm creating equals np dot array, np dot arrange. Sorry. So what this code, I'm gonna write down the code and I'm gonna ask someone to explain what the code does. So right now I'm writing the code for a 2D array and I'm giving you the output, right? So Keshav had covered steps. Keshav had covered steps also in his part. So can anyone in the chat box tell me what this code exactly did? So guys, put your answers in the chat box. Try to explain what this code did. What are the numbers 1, 18, 2? What is reshape? Can anyone just try to guess what I've done right now? Keshav, just check the chat box and let me know.
Yeah.
So guys, I'm just asking you all, just
Okay.
try to explain the code which I've written right now by looking at the output. If anyone can explain on the code.
Okay. Kanishka said range 1 to 18 with 2 iterations. Yasha said start,
That's
step, and
right.
end. Oh yeah,
Start,
there are a
step,
lot.
and
Maybe
end.
you should check.
1 second. Yeah, I'm not able to check the chat box. 1 second. Uh, right. So I'll just check the chat box. So the elements are from 1 to 18, 3 column, 3 rows, 3 by 3 matrix. That's all right. Good job, guys. So you all have got the right answer. So what this code basically did was the starting number was 1, the end number was 18. So always remember 18 is not included. Keshav had also mentioned this before. This is up to but not including 18. So 18 will not be included, but it will be everything before 18. And 2 is the step. So you can see it's 1, 3, 5, 7. So 2 is the step and reshape. What reshape did was it created it into a 3 by 3 array, right? 3 rows and 3 columns. So good job, guys. Now I'll continue with the next concept. The next concept is slicing. What is slicing exactly? So let's say I've created an array. I've created a 2D or a 3D array, or I've created a 1D array. I want to extract specific elements from the array. I want a particular elements, maybe the first 4 elements or the middle 3 elements. It can be anything. So what does slicing mean? It means to extract elements, extract particular elements from the array. Now I'm going to start with the basic code. Import numpy as np, a equals np dot array. So I'm going to create a 2D array right now. And again, I'm going to ask you guys to explain you what the code is, and then I'm going to see if you'll get the right answer, and then I will give the explanation for the code. So guys, this is the output. 1 second. Np.array. I think I've missed something. Right. 1 second. I'll just forgot this. Forgot the square brackets. Right. So guys, the output given is 2. Now I've given the code print a 0 comma 1. So now I want you guys to guess what the code meant and let's try to explain what the code did. What was the function of this code? How did it work? Put your answers in the chat box. Let's see how many people get it right. Keshav, just keep checking the chat box and see what answers they've given. So I'll repeat myself
Okay,
again.
zero.
The answer is 2. And I want you guys to guess how did the answer come about? What did the code do? So even I'll check the chat box right now.
Spanish. Okay, you check.
Right. Element are the first row, second column, indexing from 0. Row 0, column 1. Absolutely right, guys. That's good. So what the code did was, this is the 0th row. So what happens is, indexing, guys, this is pretty important. Please pay attention. Indexing begins from 0. So the first row is actually the 0th row, and the first column is actually the 0th column, right? So 0 meaning the 0th row. The 0th row meaning when the index is 0, it means the first row. So we are looking at the elements 1, 2, and 3. It means the first row, and 1 means the second column. So in the second column, I have the number 2. Hence, the output given was 2, right? So it was 0th row and first column according to indexing. So it's very important the concept of indexing. In indexing, the rows and columns they begin from 0, not 1. So everyone just give me a thumbs up if you understood the concept. Just react with a thumbs up if everyone's understood.
Yeah, everyone is. A lot of people are here.
Everyone's okay. That's great. That's great. Okay, now I'm going to continue with another example of slicing. So now I'm going to start with a string. I'm hoping everyone knows what a string is. String is a collection of characters. So I am going to create a string in a variable called, let's say, simply none. So my string is simply, one second, simply none, right? And I want the output to be MPL. Require the output to be MPL. So guys, I want you all to write the output code. Everyone put your answers in the chat box. If I want the output to be MPL, so what should my print statement be? So everyone just please write your answers in the chat box. Again, remember the indexing. Just don't forget about the indexing. Remember what the indexing is supposed to be. Keshav, just keep checking the chat box if given the right answer.
Yeah, they've said Jindal. Okay, a lot of people have said name 2:5.
2:5. Okay, that's absolutely right. So guys, the answer is print name is from 2:5. Now I'll just explain it briefly. It's pretty simple. So indexing begins from 2. So that would be M. M M is the second element according to indexing. And what we want is MPL, right? So we want these three characters. So this basically means up to, but not including the fifth element. The fifth element, according to indexing, would be I. So we want 2:5, but not including 5. So we are getting the elements 2, 3, 4, which correspond to M, P, and L, right? So I'm hoping everyone understood this. Let's move on to the next concept. So now everyone knows slicing, the basic concepts of slicing. Now I'll include using step. So in slicing also we can incorporate the mechanism of step. So everyone knows that a step is like a jump, right? So I'm going to give another example. String name equals simply learn, and I want the output. I want the output to be IPI. So, guys, can anyone try to find out the answer? So now you have to include step. So include step in your answer. So guys, I'm waiting for the output. Uh, I want the output to be IPI. Okay. So this will include stepping and this will include slicing as well. So I'm giving you all 1, 2 minutes. Try to find out the answer. Put it in the chat box. Okay. Everyone's given slightly different answers. Let's see. 1 is to 162, 1052, 162. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, most of these answers are not correct. I'll explain it right now. So, one second. I'll just share my screen. So, I want the output to be IPI. So, everyone just please focus on what I'm about to write right now. Print name 1. So, I want I want I to be the first element, right? So I is at the first position according to indexing. So 1, and now I, P, and I, right? So 7. So I is at the 6. So what's gonna happen now is I'm gonna take 1 is to 7. Seventh is the element which is not being included, right? So the output would be IPI. Now, most of what the mistake you guys made was you all didn't count the elements correctly, right? So basically, for this, I don't want to include L, right? So L, I'm gonna explain it right here. So I is the I index is 1. The index for the second I is 6. Index for L for the second L is 7. So what's happening over here is, guys, you have to remember the concept that 7 will not be included in the index, right? So what's happening over here is we have to go up till the point to the element which we don't want. So I, P, and I. So
Aryaman,
what's happening over here is
Aryaman.
L is the, yeah,
Index of second I is 5, I think.
one second. Fine. Okay, okay, my bad. I made a mistake. Yeah. Yeah, I think it should be 162. Maybe there's a problem in the code right now. That's fine. So yeah, I think you guys got the gist of it. So we'll move on to the next one. Now, now for a list. Now I'm gonna import NumPy again. Slicing using negative numbers. What's happening over here is again I'll import NumPy library. Now I'm gonna use a list. So I've created a list of numbers. Now I'm gonna print the list. Now I'm gonna explain this. So this is another way you can actually slice the elements. -6, -1, and 2. Okay. So what this means is, what do the negative numbers mean? Okay. So minus six refers to the sixth element from the end of the list. -1 refers to the last element in the list, right? And which is the last element, which is 8 again. But this will not be included, right? Everyone knows that -1, this will not be included. I've explained this concept before. So now what's going to happen is they're going to start from the sixth element from the end of the list, and -1 refers to the last element of the list. So the sixth element from the end of the list is actually 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to start from 3 and end up uh, 3 up to but not including 8. Okay. So this is going to be the output 3, 5, and 7. So what's happening is it started from the sixth element at the end of the list up to but not including the last element in the list, which is 8. And it had a step of 2. So we got the answer as 3, 5, and 7. I'm hoping everyone's understood this concept. Just put a thumbs up in the chat if you understood. And if there are any doubts, let me know. Keshav, is everyone understood or are there any doubts?
Yeah, they've understood.
Everyone's understood, right? Now, let's take another example. Now, let's go with reversing elements in a list. Reversing elements in array or list. Now, I'm going to again make another list. So let's make a list called simply learn. And what the code is going to be is A from A, then I've put two spaces and then I've put -1. Now, the first two spaces are deliberately left empty. You can notice that there are no numbers here in the spaces, but I've deliberately left them empty. And this will still reverse this string and give me the correct answer. So can anyone tell me in the chat box why this is still working and why have I left those numbers empty and why is the output still coming? So share your answers in the chat box that why is the code working for this? Guys, put your answers in the chat box. Why all think why I've left those two numbers empty and the answer is still coming? Okay, because of the -1, it starts from because you already and goes till the end. Okay, starting by from zeroth position and ending at last. Okay, this answer is correct. Okay, guys, you have gotten the right answer. So what's happening is, since I've left the two numbers empty, it is considering every element in the list, right up from the starting element to the ending element. So there's no need to put the numbers of the element here, right? So what's happening over here is, since I've left it empty, they're considering every element in the list, and that's why I'm getting a reverse of the elements, right? So every element is considered, and a -1 indicates a negative stepping. So that means the list will be reversed. I'll give another example with a tuple. So a tuple is over here, and we can do the same thing with different types of you know data. And you can see even with the numbers have also been reversed. So you can try it with characters, you can try it with numbers. It doesn't matter as long as you do the code correctly for the slicing. The list will be reversed, right? So you can see that you can do it with characters as well as numbers. Now we're going to do a bit more complex concept is reversing elements with a specific step. Okay. So I'm going to start off with a pretty basic one. So A is, let's say, A, B, C, D, E, F. And I want the output to be FDB. So guys, this is a pretty basic question. What should be the code for the reverse slicing? So I want the output to be FDB. And guys, can you all guess what the code will be? Just put it in the chat box. It's pretty basic and it's similar to the previous one. It's quite similar to the code I've just done right now. So obviously there's a step being involved in this. So just share your answers in the chat box. Okay, someone's given this -2. Okay, someone's given 2, -2, -1. Okay, so guys, the answers with -2 are correct. So what's happening over here is I want the numbers to be reversed. First of all, the output is FDB. So that means the list has been reversed. And -2 means that there's a step of -2. So the output is going to be F, then you're going to have a jump of 2, and then F, D, B, and F, D, and then B. So that's absolutely right. The answer is going to be print A. Again, I'm going to leave two spaces empty as I've explained before, and it's going to be -2, right? So the output comes out to be F, D, and B, right? Now, I'm gonna take another example. Uh, Reverse with start and stop, but with two methods, okay? So reverse with start and stop indices using two methods, okay? Now, let's say the text is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Let's say that's the text. And I want, so one thing we already learned is that, we can use the reverse stepping, okay? So let's say I want the output to be I, H, G, F, E, D, C, okay? Let's say I've reversed it and I've taken this output, okay? I want the output to be this. So method one would be, let's say partial reverse. I'm going to call the variable partial reverse x 8, 1, and -1. Okay, can anyone explain me why this code is going to work? So what's going to happen is I'm going to start with the eighth element according to indexing, and output is okay. Yeah, I'm just going to put the print statement, print partial reverse. So guys, as you all can see that the output is correct and I'm getting the required output. Now, can anyone explain how this code is working? So what's happening over here is we're starting at the eighth element according to indexing. So that is 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're starting at I. So I is the eighth element according to indexing, and we will go all the way up till and then you can see that B is the first element according to indexing. So it's pretty basic, guys. What's happening is eighth element, no, eight will be included, but this one will be not included, but not included. And what's happening is we have a step of -1, right? Now, method two. Now, method two includes negative numbers, okay? So, what's going to happen is, guys, can you all give another way to do this if I want this to be the output? There is another method for this. I've taught this before above only. So, guys, put your answers in the chat box. What you all think is another method to get the same output? And using this method only, but negative numbers somewhere else. So, guys, I'm giving you all 2 minutes. Find out another method for the same problem and put your answers in the chat box. So, it's going to be another partial reverse only. I'll give you all a hint. Partial reverse, let's say 2 equals text. Okay, now I'm going to leave this blank. Okay. So, two numbers over here, you all can fill it up and just tell me what the three numbers are going to be. So I'm giving you all 2 minutes. Keshav, just check the chat box and let me know what they've given.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I- I've left these
Okay.
three blanks for three numbers. So this is another method. And guys, let your put your answers in the chat box. We'll see if it's correct.
I've gotten three different
There should be
answers
three
so far.
numbers. Okay, you got in three different answers. Okay, guys,
Five
take your time
different
and
answers.
guys, take your time and please, take it slowly. Try it out yourself. Give it 2 minutes and try it out. Not a lot of people have gotten the right answer. I'm giving another 2 minutes. Just try to do it again. Okay, okay. I'm seeing a lot of people are putting the right answer now. But yeah, why are people giving two numbers? I've asked for three numbers, right? Because we have to indicate the negative slicing as well. -2, -9, and -1. Okay, that's right. Okay, guys, I'm going to continue with the program. That's actually the right answer. So the three numbers are -2, -9, and -1. Okay. So now I'm going to explain it. What's happening is it's starting at the second second last element, second element from the end of the list. Second element from the end of the list is I. Okay, that's pretty basic. Ninth element from the end of the list is B. Okay, guys, you can count it. The ninth element from the end of the list is B. But again, this will not be included, but not included. And the step is -1. So these are the three numbers, and this is the logic for the same. Just put a thumbs up if everyone's understood. Guys, put a thumbs up, react with a thumbs up if everyone's understood. Otherwise, I'll take any doubts.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of thumbs up.
Lot of thumbs up, right? Okay, then I'll continue with the code. Now, moving on to shape and size. Okay, and size of an array. So, let's say I define another array. It's a 2D array, and I'm defining the numbers 3, and let's say 4, 5, 6. Hmm. And I want to find out the shape of the array, right? Now, what's going to happen is, so sometimes when a large array is given and people want to find out what are the exact dimensions of the array, it's pretty basic. You just write down the name of the array and you print the following code. The code is print array name of the array dot shape. So what's going to happen is 2 comma 3. So what does 2 comma 3 mean? It's pretty basic. It means there are two rows and three columns, right? And that is actually what's happening in an array. You have two rows and you have three columns. And for size of the array, size means that what is the size of the array, number of elements in the array. So answer is going to be 2 into 3, right? We have two rows, three columns. So the answer should be 6. Okay, that's absolutely right. You can do this for a 1D array, 2D array, 3D array. It doesn't matter. The code and the logic is the same. Now, moving on to data types. So there are several data types, as you all are aware. In Python, there are many data types. Let's say I define an array and I define the data type over here only. Data type equals, let's say, np dot float. Let's say I define it as float 64. So many of the times, what happens usually is your code is really long and you define something at the start and then you want to find the data type at the end. So it's not always going to happen is that you're going to remember what data type you used, right? So if you really want to just find out the data type of an array is a basic code d type. So this is the syntax for it. You use d type and you'll find out the data type of the array or the variable that you use. As you can see, the data type is float 64. This is actually pretty important because later on, if you want to find out the data type, this is the code you're going to use. Now, moving on to another part, access and reshaping. Okay. Let's say I define another array. I'm going to take this one over here.
Ariman,
Let's say,
Can you explain this data type part again very quickly?
okay, okay. No
Because people
problem,
have
no problem.
asked.
Okay, okay, right. So what usually happens is you can have several data types. You can define your arrays, you can define your lists in several data types. It can be float, it can be, anything else, integer, whatever, string. So usually what happens in code is maybe you're checking someone else's code and they define a variable and you want to find out what the data type is. It's pretty basic. This is the code you should be looking at. Print array.dtype. So what print array.dtype does is it defines and it gives you what the data type of the array is. In this case, I've taken it as float 64, hence the answer, that is the output. So all you have to remember is this code, print array arr.dtype. So this will give you the corresponding data type for the variable that you have created. I hope that is clear. And are there any doubts about this still? If not, just put a thumbs up. So I'll move forward. Oh yeah, and guys, you guys are asking why do you use float 64? There are actually many data types. You can use whichever one you want. Some data types define small numbers, some data types define large numbers. So float 64 is just an example. Guys, we don't have to use it. We can use other data types as well, okay? Float 64 is just an example, and you can use other data types as well. It's not necessary that you use it, right? So 64 is just the amount of memory that NumPy will allocate for it, and that's about it. Float, you don't have to use it. And D type, D type is just it's the syntax. If you want to, D means D standing for data, right? So D type is just the syntax. You can find out what the data type is using that. I hope that's clear. And now moving on to access and reshaping. Now, let's say I define an array, okay? I've defined a 2D array, and right now it has two rows and there are three columns, right? There are two rows and three columns. I want to reshape it. So three rows and two columns. So this is pretty basic. What the code is going to be is reshaped array is equal to array dot reshape 3 comma 2, and I'm going to print the reshaped array. So what have I done, guys? Initially the array had two rows and three columns. Now I have reshaped it to have three rows and two columns. Okay. So what's happening is now my new reshaped array will have three rows, two columns, and I'll just print it out and show it to you guys. Right. So you can see in it now we have three rows and two columns each. Right. This is pretty basic and you will actually use this quite often. So I'm hoping everyone's understood this. I'll move on to the next one. Now, moving on to the next concept is concatenation. So what is concatenation? It's basically like a series of connected items. Maybe, adding two things together. So now what usually happens is you can add multiple arrays. Let's say I have two arrays and I want to add them. Let's say I have array one equals, I'm defining the array right now, right? And let's say I define another array. Let's say the values are 7, 8, 9, and 10, 11, 12. Okay. So I've defined two arrays right now and I want to add the two arrays. So what is concatenation? Concatenation is basically adding or joining things together. Now we can do it along several axes. Can do along several axes. Now you guys will ask, what does axis mean? I've defined a new term which is axis. So axis is the manner in which the arrays will be added. So I'm going to give you an example. So I'm going to define along axis 0. This is the first example, okay? Example 1. Define along axis 0. So I'm going to define a result array, np.concatenate. So guys, this is the syntax for it, right? So I'm just concatenating the two arrays, array 1, comma, array 2, and axis is going to be 0, right? And I'm going to print the resultant axis. I don't want this for now. So now, guys, I'm going to print the output and I want you all to guess how the output is going to be. So, guys, this is the output and they have added the two arrays along axis 0. Can anyone explain me what does axis 0 mean? Just put your guesses in the chat box. What do you guys think axis 0 means? Look at the output and see the two arrays. I've added the two arrays and this is the output along axis 0. So, what do you guys think axis 0 actually means? Is it vertically? Is it horizontally? Is it something else? How have the arrays been added? So guys, put your answers in the chat box. What does axis 0 mean? Are they adding it vertically? Are they adding it horizontally? Okay, some people are giving the answers. Adding vertically, vertically, vertically. Okay, any more answers? Okay, some people are given along rows. Okay, absolutely right. So the answer is absolutely right. Axis 0 means adding vertically, right? And example 2. So I'm going to define along axis 1. Result axis 1 equals np dot right. Now axis 1 means adding horizontally. Okay, guys, it's pretty basic. I'm going to give a space over here. You all don't get confused. So now I've done along axis 1. So axis 1 meaning adding the arrays horizontally. So I'm just going to print the output. So guys, as you can see, the two arrays, they've been added horizontally, right? Axis 1 meaning you add, it's along the rows, okay? So, sorry, axis, yeah. Axis 1 refers to stacking the arrays horizontally. So this is the resultant output. Okay, just imagine putting the two arrays side by side. You've added them horizontally, and this would be the following output. I hope everyone's understood. If you all have any doubts, just put it in the chat box right now. Otherwise, give me a thumbs up and I'll move forward. Guys, any doubts, please put in the chat box. Otherwise, react to the thumbs up and I'll move forward. Okay, I see quite a few of thumbs up. Keshav, should I proceed? Is everyone clear?
Yeah,
Okay, moving on. So I'm hoping concatenation is clear and it's a pretty good concept. We can
Aryaman.
also apply it to strings. Yeah.
Karan has asked why can't it be added in 3 cross 3 or 3 cross 4?
Why can't it be added in 3 cross 3? So I'm not particularly understood what your doubt is. Could you elaborate a bit? Can you elaborate a bit? Keshav, have you understood what he's trying to say?
No, not really.
Uh, Number of elements. Yeah, the number of elements, total number of elements have to be the same. So I'm not sure 3 cross 4 would be possible over here. So, but yeah, Karan, if you could elaborate, then we'll help you out. Or you could DM one of us personally on the chat also. 1, 2, 3, 8. Okay, can you show the array and the output in the same screen? Yeah, absolutely. So guys, this is I'm just gonna let you guys take a look and just take 2 minutes and just look at the screen. Try to understand everything. And if any doubts, let me know right now. So these are both the arrays and these are both the outputs, adding along axis 0 and adding along axis 1. Okay, I'm hoping everything's clear. Karan, we'll get in touch with you later on because we really have a lot of syllabus to complete, but we'll definitely get in touch with you regarding your doubts. Uh, Now moving on. Now string concatenation. Keshav, is it fine if I move on? We can,
Yeah, I am replying in the chat.
go to them personally. Okay, sure, sure. String concatenation. This is pretty basic. So let's say we have two strings, okay? String one, I'm going to define it as pretty hello. I think everyone's done this. And string two, I'm going to define it as world, okay? So result equals now str1 plus str2. Now, guys, if I print the result, what do you think the output will be? It's not as simple as it looks like. So, guys, just put your. This is actually pretty. Just look. What do you think the output is going to be? So I'm adding the two strings. Just it's pretty basic. What do you think the output's going to be? Put your answer in the chat box. Screen is stuck. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and start sharing again. Okay. Keshav, is my screen visible?
Yeah,
Okay. Just look at the chat box. What are the answers these guys have put? Hello world. Some have put without spaces, some have put with spaces. Okay, so guys, what's happening over here is the Python compiler doesn't know English, right? They don't know that hello and world are two different words. They don't know that we are adding two separate words. So what's going to happen is the output is going to be without a space, right? Because we are just adding them together. The Python compiler doesn't know English that, we have to put a space between them. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to add a simple, a simple space between the two, right? I've added just a small space between the two. And now the output should be hello world, right? So I'm hoping whoever made that mistake has understood why there's not a space between the two, right? Some people have actually put a space between the two, but that's not the case because we have to define that there's a space between the two words. The compiler doesn't know English, right? I'm hoping it's clear. I'm moving on now. Uh, Now we'll move on to array splitting. Now let's say I define a 1D array, okay? We've been on 2D arrays for a long time. Let's work with a 1D array. I've defined a 1D array and I want to split it into three sub-arrays. So I'm going to define a new variable, split array equals np dot split. So guys, as you can see, NumPy actually has a variety of functions, right? Finding the data type, splitting, concatenation. So NumPy is actually a pretty, fundamental library. And just remember all of the functions that NumPy has. Splitting, concatenation, array, addition, everything. So what's going to happen is it's going to split the array into three subgroups. So this is the output. The the first output is going to be 1, 2. The second output is going to be 3, 4. And the third output is going to be 5, 6. So what they've done is they've basically split it into three different arrays and in an equal proportion, right? It's pretty basic. I'm moving on to transpose, array transpose. So can anyone tell me what the definition of transpose is? Just put your answers in the chat box. What do you think a transpose means? You guys might have heard it in matrices. Just put your definition of what is transpose in the chat box. If I transpose an array, what's going to happen? Rows and columns interchange. 3 is to 2 goes to 3 and 2 is to 3. Interchange rows and columns. Absolutely right. So what an array transpose will do, it will interchange I and J. I and J is, commonly referred to as the rows and columns. Pretty common. So let's say I create an array. I'm creating a 2D array. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to transpose the array, right? So I'm going to transposed array equals np dot transpose array now, and I'm going to print the array. Now it's pretty basic, guys. So there were two rows and three columns before. Now it's going to be three rows and two columns, right? So I'm going to print the array. I'm going to leave a space and I'm going to print the transposed array. I accidentally put it in question marks. So what's going to happen is first I'm printing the array and then the I'm going to print the transpose array. So guys, as you can see, first we had a two row, three column array. Now we have a three row, two column array. So this is pretty basic. This is another function that NumPy provides you with. We've done a simple interchange of the rows and columns. Now moving on to matrix operations. So I'm going to import NumPy again. And let's say matrix one is np dot array. I'm going to define it as this, and I'm going to create another matrix. I'm going to name it matrix 2, okay? And I'm going to change the numbers 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so I've created two matrices. Now I'm going to start with element wise addition, sum matrix, matrix 1 plus matrix 2. And I'm going to print the output. Guys, can you all, it's a very basic sum, but can you guys tell me what the output is going to be? Just tell me what are the four numbers going to be, right? Put your answer in the chat box. What is going to be the output for this? I'm hoping you guys have gotten the concept, so you'll give the right answer. Put your answer in the chat box. What is going to be the output for the sum if I print the summation matrix? It's pretty basic. I'm hoping everyone gets the answer right. 6, 8, 10, 12, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, that's great. You guys have gotten the concept. This was actually pretty basic. And this is what the answer is going to be 6, 8, 10, 12. We can also do element wise multiplication. Actually, this is going to take a longer for someone else to compute. So yeah, the code is product matrix is matrix 1 into matrix 2, and I'm going to print the product matrix. And you guys can see what the output is. Yeah, this might take you all a bit longer to compute, obviously, because you have to do a little bit of calculation. But yeah, you guys can see that you can do element-wise addition, multiplication. You can also do subtraction. You can also subtract two matrices. So you have a lot of matrix operations that you can do over here. Now, moving on to mathematical functions. So if any of y'all are interested in statistics or something like that, this next part is going to be interesting for you. So I'm going to import numpy as np again, creating a 2D array. Now I'm creating another 2D array and we're going to do some mathematical functions on the same. So total sum equals np dot sum array. So what is this going to do is this is going to print the total sum of all the elements in the matrix. Okay. So the total sum I think should be 21. So this is what's going to do is it's going to print the sum of all of the elements in the array. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to print it. Print total sum. Okay, that's right. 21. Okay, now what I'm going to do is axis again. Summation along axis. I had explained you guys the definition of axis below. I hope you guys remember. So I'm going to do two things. Sum axis 0, and I'm going to do again sum axis along axis 1. Right. So now I've done a summation along axis 0, and I've done a summation along axis 1. So guys, can you all put the answers in the chat box? What is the answer going to be for both of them? I've given two questions. I want the answer for both of them together. What is going to be the summation along axis 0 and what is going to be the summation along axis 1? I'm hoping you guys have understood the concept, so you'll give the right answer. Just give this 2 minutes. What is going to be the sum along axis 0 and sum along axis 1? Just remember that axis 0 was summation, which is actually vertical, right? So axis 0 refers to vertical summation and axis 1 refers to horizontal summation. So guys, put your answers in the chat box quickly. What is the output going to be for axis 0 and axis 1? Okay. Some people are sending the answers. I'm not seeing a lot of the correct answers. I want both of the answers together for axis 0 and axis 1 both together. Some people are giving the opposite answer. They're giving for axis 1 and then axis 0. Guys, I'm giving you all 2 minutes. Give me the right answer. Summation along axis 0 and summation along axis 1. What is going to be the answer? Five. I'm seeing a lot of 579. That's actually correct. So 579 is the answer for vertical summation along axis 0. Now, what is going to be the answer for axis 1? A lot of you are giving the wrong answer. What is the answer for axis 1? I'm giving you all 2 minutes. Answer for axis 1. Okay, Karan has sent his answer. I'm hoping other people also send the answer, guys. Please send your answer for this. Okay. Atish has also sent his answer. A lot of people are sending the answers, and this seem to be correct. 579, 615. Oh, absolutely right. Okay, good job, guys. The answer is 579 and 615. So as you can see, if I vertically add them, okay, I'm just going to print the array also once, so it's easier for everyone to understand. For anyone who's not understood this, please pay attention. I'm going to explain this right now. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to just delete this for now. So what's happening over here is uh, I've got my array, and many people are confused about the axis one. So I'm going to explain that right now. So 579, that is along axis 0. So I'm adding the columns. Axis 0 referring vertical summation of the columns. So 1 and 4 that gives 5, 2 and 5 that gives 7, 3 and 6 that gives 9. So I'm hoping vertical summation along axis 0 is clear. Now horizontal summation meaning adding up the rows. It's pretty basic. Adding up the rows 1, 2, 3, which gives you an output of 6, and 4, 5, 6, which gives you an output of 15. So horizontal summation along rows and vertical summation along columns. I'm hoping everyone's understood this, and just give a thumbs up if you understood. Everyone just react to the thumbs up if you understood, then I'll move on. React quickly, so I'll move on to the next concept. Just react to the thumbs up if you understood. Keshav, should I proceed? Just let me know when to proceed.
Yeah, they've
Okay,
reacted.
they've reacted, right? That's great. Hoping everyone's understood. Now, this is again a pretty basic concept. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Product of array elements. So let's say I create. Now, first I will import. Always remember to import the library. Import numpy as np, and I'm going to create a 2D array. 3 and 4, 5, 6. And let's say I'm going to give the total product, right? I'm going to give the total product for the array. So this is pretty basic. So what's going to happen is it's going to multiply all of the elements in the array and give me the total product. Uh, so obviously the answer is going to be the multiplication of all of the elements inside the array. And I'm just going to print it, right? So the answer is going to be 720, okay? The answer is a multiplication of all of the elements in the array. So 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5 into 6. That gives 720. Now, can yeah, now what I'm going to do is you can also find the product along axis 0, and you can find the product along axis 1. This is pretty basic. It's very similar to to the code we've done above, okay? For summation, you can do it along the particular axes, and for multiplication also, you can do it along the particular axis. So what the answer is going to be is product axis 0, let's say, equals np.prod array axis 0 and print it. If I'm going to do it along axis 1, I'm just going to put axis over here 1 and do the correct syntax. So this is the correct syntax. Dot axis 0 is np.prod array axis 0. And again, I'm going to do it for axis 1, okay? And then I'm going to give the correct output. So this is pretty basic. I'm not going to ask you guys to give the answer for this. So 4, 10, 18, and 6 and 120. I'll explain it once. axis 0 meaning the columns, multiply the columns, and axis 1 meaning the rows, multiply the rows. So columns would be 1 into 4, 2 into 5, and 3 into 6. Okay, right? This is pretty basic, guys. I'm hoping everyone's understood this. And the rows would just be 1 into 2 into 3 and 4 into 5 into 6. Okay, so I'm hoping everyone's understood this. This is very similar to addition. It's just that over there you use sum, over here you use product. Now, cumulative sum of all elements. Now, let's say I create a 2D array. Array equals np.array, and I'm going to create a 2D array. Oh, unfortunately, I've done it in text. Yeah, cool. I'm going to import the NumPy library. Always remember to do that first. And I'm going to create a 2D array. Array equals np.array. Now, what I'm going to do is print the cumulative sum. Okay, I'm going to write the short form, which is cum sum, which means cumulative sum. Okay. So what this is going to do is it's going to print the sum of it's going to print the cumulative sum of all the elements, and everyone knows what cumulative sum is, right? I'm hoping everyone knows what cumulative sum is. Now, cumulative sum just means the constant addition of the previous elements as well. So the first element will be what it is, but the second element will be the sum of the first element plus the second element, and so on. Can anyone tell me what the output is going to be in this? It's an array, by the way. So everyone in the chat box, tell me what is the output going to be? What is the output? And it's not a number, okay? It's an array. Output is an array. So guys, put your answers in the chat box. What do you think the output is going to be? Pretty basic. I'm hoping everyone gives the correct answer. Guys, it's not a number. It's not a number. It's an array. Remember, cumulative sum, it will give you an array. It won't give you a number. You're not finding the total sum. You're finding the cumulative sum. So the answer is going to be an array. It's not a particular number. Okay, I'm seeing some correct answers now. Okay, right. Okay. Yeah, some of you guys are given the correct answer. So the output is going to be 1, 3, 6, 10, 15, 21. Okay, so they're given the cumulative sum of all the elements. And guys, the most important understanding is the output is not a singular number. It is an array. Okay, so that was the most important understanding. Now, a small task for you guys. Can you all find the cumulative sum along axis 1? Just axis 1, give the code and the output as well. So guys, I'm giving you all a small task. Find the cumulative sum along axis 1, give the code and give the output as well. Okay. Everyone knows that axis 1 meaning rows, right? So the answer is again going to be an array, right? Answer is going to be an array. So guys, test it out on your laptop right now. Give me the code and give me the output as well. So I'm giving you 2 to 5 minutes for this.
Arvind,
Okay,
while you're at
someone's
it, can you
asking
explain cumulative sum?
cumulative sum again. Okay, no problem. So what is cumulative sum? Okay, so I'm just gonna explain cumulative sum. Okay, some people might not have understood, and that's perfectly fine. Let's say I have a series. Okay, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Let's say I have a series 11. Now, what cumulative sum means is the next element. This is basically a layman's definition. Okay, the next element will be the sum of the element before it. And this is somewhat, I'll give you an example. So the first element will be 1 because there is no element before that. Second element will be and the number itself. So what is the next element? The next element will be the sum of the element before it and the number itself. So the second element will be the sum of the element before it, 1 plus 3, which gives me 4, right? So now the third element. Third element in the cumulative sum series will be 1 plus 3 plus 5 basically, right? That is going to be, that is going to give me what? 9, right? So 5 plus 3, 8 plus 1, 9. Yeah. So the fourth element will be equals to 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7, basically, which gives me 16, right? So guys, I hope you all have understood cumulative sum. Uh, Whoever asked about cumulative sum, I hope you've understood. It's a pretty good, a pretty basic concept. And now I'm moving on. Yeah. For the task, can someone give the output for the code and the answer as well? So I'm hoping the code for access one and the output as well. Import numbers NP. Okay, some of you guys have given your answers. I'm just checking it right now. Hari has sent his answer. Array comma access equal to one. Okay, some of you guys have given your answers. I'm just checking it right now. And give me the output also. What do you think the answer is going to be? Uh, Guys, tell me, what do you think the answer is going to be? Axis one meaning rows, right? So I'm just going to write the code for it. I think you guys are not going in the right direction. That's fine. I'll just explain it right now. So cumulative sum along axis one. So this is what the code is going to be. It's going to be np.comSum array axis equal to one. I'm going to print the cumulative sum axis. Okay. So this is the code. Okay. I'm hoping everyone is clear with the code. This is the code for the sum, cumulative sum along axis one. And what the output is going to be is, so what we're going to do is we're going to add up the sum along the rows. Okay. Just along the rows. So axis equal to one means addition, cumulative addition only along the rows. So we're going to do the operation. Let's use the word operation. Operation only along the rows. So what's going to happen is row one, we have one, two, three. So that is going to become one, three, and six. Row one. Okay, this is row one. Row two, we have four, five, six. That is going to become four, nine, and 15. That should be the output. And I'll just show you the answer right now. Yeah. So what's happened over here is the rows have been added. There's been a cumulative addition along the rows. Okay. So we added row one and then we separately added row two. Okay. So this means a cumulative addition along a particular axis. I'm hoping everyone's understood. If there are any doubts, please put it in the chat box right now. If there are any doubts about this, please put it in the chat box. So I'll just clear it out. So cumulative sum along rows, meaning you add every element in a particular row. So in row one, we added one, two, and three. And in row two, we will add the elements in the second row. If there are no doubts, please react to the thumbs up. I'm hoping everyone's understood. If no doubts, please react to the thumbs up. And if you have any doubts, please put it in the chat box right now. Keshav, just let me know when to proceed.
There, actually, no, there is a doubt now. Uddhav was
Okay,
asked for
just
cumulative
go ahead.
sum of 2D array. We didn't specify access. We got a 1D array with m cross n number of elements. The progression went to row one, all elements, then row two, all elements, and so on. Can it also go column wise?
One second. So yeah, in regular cumulative sum, the axis is not specified, right? In a regular cumulative sum, it is going to do a cumulative sum of all the elements in one particular order. Okay, this is going to be a 1D array. But when we define the axis, the rows and columns are very important, right? When we are defining the axis, we are defining it along a particular row or we're defining it along columns, right? So that's when we'll get the answer as a 2D array. So column wise basically meaning axis zero, right? if you want to do cumulative addition along columns, what's going to happen is it means axis equal to 0, right? So what the output is going to be pretty basic. I'll, yeah, this is the code what's going to happen. And what's going to happen is they're going to do 1 and the second element will be 1 plus 4. So like they're adding the column wise. You see 1 over here and then they'll add 4. Okay, then they'll put 2 and then they'll add 5. Then they'll add 3 and then they'll add 6. Okay, so it will be cumulative addition along the columns, right? Pretty basic. I'll just show you the output. Right. So you can see it's 1 and 5, 2 and 7, 3 and 9. Okay. So what they've done is 1 and then 1 plus 4. These are the first two columns. This is the first column. Okay. Then for the second column, they've done 2 and then 2 plus 4. Or sorry, 2 plus 5. And for the third column, they've done 3 and 3 plus 6. So this is pretty basic. What they've done is they just added the columns. So this is when we do it along axis equal to 0, which means vertical. So I hope that clears your doubt. And uh, there's another doubt. I meant without specifying axis in a particular order, can that be changed? I have not really understood what your doubt is. Keshav, can you look at that doubt? Did you understand what that your student is trying to say?
Udhav's doubt.
Udbhav's doubt, yeah.
Oh, he wants to take cumulative sum like from, say, I think from like the back or something. I'm not really sure.
Cumulative sum. I
In
don't
that case, you would
think
have to
it's defined
change
that
the
way.
order, right? Like cumulative
Right,
sum
right. You'll have
is
to change.
you start from the beginning and you take cumulative sums. That is what you do in frequency tables and all. So it wouldn't make sense to do it any other way.
Right. If you want to change, if you want to go in the reverse order, you'll have to reverse the array itself. Cumulative sum meaning from start to end, right? But if you want to change the order, then you'll have to change the elements of the array itself because that's how it's defined. I'm hoping that's clear, Udbhav, and we'll just move on now. Moving on to statistics. I think many of you guys would be having an interest in statistics. So right now we'll be considering statistics functions. So now the first basic one we'll be covering is mean. Okay, mean will be the first basic one we're covering. I'm gonna use a 2D array for this. So 2D array, let's define the array. You can do it along a 1D array also, but that is actually pretty basic. Um, and let's say I have another output 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so I've created a 2D array. So we've got three rows and we've got three columns each. Now I'm just going to print the array for our reference. Print array 2D. And I'm also going to print the mean. So what mean does is, I'm hoping everyone knows what mean is. So mean is the average of all the numbers. So mean basically means they will add all the numbers up and divide it by the total number of elements. It's basically the average. So mean will basically give you the average of all the elements in the 2D array. And let's see what we get over here. So as you can see, I've printed the array. So I've printed all the arrays and the average obviously of the matrix is 5 because it's if you add all of the elements up, you can see that it's symmetric also. Even without calculating it, if you see the symmetry, see the symmetry in the array, you'll notice that the mean has to be 5, right? You can similarly calculate median as well, but I won't go along that. Now, you can also calculate the mean along particular axes. So let's say I want to do mean along axis 1, which means rows. So that is going to be, yeah, I can do it for both for axis 1 and axis 0 and axis 1. So axis 1 meaning the mean along the rows and axis 0 meaning the mean along the columns. I'm just going to put it in order. Can anyone tell me what the output is going to be for this? For axis 0, what is going to be the mean? And for axis 1, what is going to be the mean? Just note you get three answers, right? Because there are three rows, three columns. Pretty basic. So, guys, send the answer for both of them in the chat box. What is the mean along axis 0 and what is the mean along axis 1? And note, there will be like three numbers. It's not a particular number. Since there are three rows, three columns, there will be three numbers for each answer. So, guys, put your answers in the chat box.
Just
What is the
wind up
mean
again.
along the rows and columns? I'm hoping this is pretty
Aryan,
basic.
Aryan, after this, let's wind up, okay?
Yeah, we'll wind up in 5 minutes. That's it. I'm done. This is the last thing. I'm hoping I've gotten the answers. 456, 258. Yeah, that's the right answer. I was hoping this is easy to understand. I'll just print the array. So the mean along the rows will be, you can see mean along column 1 will be 4, mean along column 2 will be 5, and mean along column 3 will be 6. And particularly the mean along row 1, row 2, row 3 will be 2, 5, and 8. I hope this is pretty easy to understand. I'm gonna move on to standard deviation now. Standard deviation is also pretty basic. So standard deviation is like the variation along the mean. I'm hoping some of you guys would have heard that concept. If not, standard deviation just means that what is the variation, like how much variation is there in the numbers along the mean. So I'm going to print the standard deviation. It's a simple code. And yeah, I'm just going to print the output now. Yeah. So this is the standard deviation is 2.58. So this is another code many people would be interested in. And I'm hoping that's clear. Now moving on to the last concept, which is 3D arrays. Okay, guys, I'm hoping now everything before this is clear. This is the last concept for the day, which is 3D arrays. And this is actually pretty interesting. So let's say I define a 3D array and I'm going to define the elements in the 3D array. Let's say it's over here, right? I'm hoping I've done it correctly. Yeah. So this is a 3D array. And let's say I want to access elements in a 3D array. What about accessing elements in a 3D array? Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to give a particular code, print array 3D. Let's say, yeah, let's say 0, 1, 1. 0, 1, 1. So guys, tell me what do you think the output will be? I'm going to give you a hint. Guys, this is the last question for the day. Print the array and print the element along 0, 1, 1. So the first index is depth, second index is rows, and third index is columns. Okay. So guys, put your answers in the chat box. What do you think the answer is going to be? This is the last question for the day. I'm hoping for your answer in the chat box. First index is depth, second index is rows, and third index is columns. So what do you guys think the output is going to be? Please put your answer in the chat box. Okay, many people have given the right answer. Yeah, this was pretty basic. So what's going to happen is the zero depth. Okay, so zero means the according to indexing, it will be the first zero meaning depth, one meaning row, one meaning column. So this will be the first set of elements. So that means I will only take 1, 2, 3, 4 into consideration. Okay. Then again, one means it means the second row according to indexing. So the second row is just 3 and 4. Okay, guys. Second row is 3 and 4. And this means second column. What is the second column? That is 4. The output should be 4. I'm hoping this is clear for everyone. And a lot of you have given the right answer. That's good. And yeah, the output should be 4. So that is it for today. And that is NumPy. Uh, I hope you guys had a good time and understood every concept. If there are any doubts, we'll take it right now. Yeah, that was the last concept for the day. Thank you so much, guys, for attending the session, and I hope you all have learned a lot. If there are any doubts,
Do
please put it in
give
the chat box right now.
do give us your
Sorry, Keshav?
feedback as well, either here or in the WhatsApp group.
Absolutely. Yeah, Karan is asking what mean is. So mean is basically the average. So let's say I take four numbers. So what is the average of the four numbers? Okay. So let's say I take 1, 2, 3, 4. The average of the four numbers will be 2.5, right? So mean is basically the average. It is the sum of all of the elements divided by the total number of elements. And guys, please don't worry about the attendance. We've taken that from Microsoft Teams itself. I'm hoping everything is clear for the day. If
Yeah,
there
you
are
guys
no
can
doubts, yes,
leave
you guys can leave.
if you don't have attendance we are taking it. Don't worry about it. We'll send the assignment, the collab, the recording, everything in a bit in Teams.
Okay, Karan, for your follow-up question, I think you're getting the wrong answer. I'll just help you out with that. So if I take the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, the mean would be the addition of the four numbers divided by the total number of elements. So it'll be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. That gives us how much? That gives us 10. Okay. And if I divide 10 by 4, I'm going to get 2.5. So that is how you calculate the mean. Uh, Thank you, Sankar, for your feedback. That's really nice to hear. If the session was interesting, we are going to upload the mini task and the references in a while. So please keep checking the WhatsApp group and the Teams channel. And if you all have no doubts, everyone can leave. Thank you so much for attending today. If anyone has any particular doubts, you can stay back. So me and Kesha will be there in the meeting. If there are no doubts, you guys can leave. Attendance has been taken. Attendance has been noted. Thank you guys for your feedback. Even we had a good time teaching you all. Any
Hello,
doubts, please let us know
hello. I have a
personally.
query.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
go ahead.
Uh, as I have submitted the Google form for the mini task one twice. Once I have submitted without knowing anything, and second time I submitted with the assignment. Will it be an issue?
No, we'll go through that and look at the latest submission. Don't worry.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, the teaching sessions are fun for us as well. So it's great if you guys are also learning and having fun.
Absolutely. So
Yes, yes.
attendance has been taken.
Thank you.
Thank you guys
I
for
have a
attending.
doubt that
And yeah, please go ahead. If anyone has any doubts, please,
that
raise your hand. We'll unmute you. Okay, I'm seeing some things in the chat box. Yeah. Mohammed is saying he's not watched the session in the Microsoft Teams account. Don't worry, Mohammed. We'll note down your attendance. There's no need to
We
worry about
have
that.
the
Just focus on the session for now. And please
we
attend the next session as well. Yeah,
yeah, next
Mohammed,
session
don't
we'll
worry.
be
We've
finishing
noted
off
down your
NumPy.
attendance.
Yeah, we will just look at your name and mark attendance. Next session we will finish off NumPy and go to OpenCV. Uh, not really like exaggerating or anything, but OpenCV is really awesome. We use it all the time in Sahaay. We do a lot of stuff with it, so make sure you guys don't miss it. Like this is the whole point of the software module, what we've taught you till now.
Right. Okay. And yeah, guys. Mohammed, your attendance is noted. Karan, you had a doubt. Yeah, Keshav, just let Karan unmute, right, for a second.
Yeah, one second. No, you should be able to unmute. or you can send a message. Uh,
When you're copy pasting the code, it shows glitch. You're copy pasting the code where? In which application or website?
into Colab or
Karan, could you just elaborate on your doubt, please?
okay.
Yeah, collab.
Yes. Okay. My number is in the group. So can you send me a direct message? Show me the error and I'll help you out. Or you can send it in the group itself if you don't mind. And send us a photo of your error and the code. We'll help you out.
Right. Okay, that's great. Hope it's clear. Any other doubts, guys? Please raise your hand or put a message in the chat box if you have any other doubts for today.
Because if you don't have doubts, you guys can leave. We're done for today.
Yes, guys, we're done for today. You guys can leave if you have no doubts, and please give your feedback as well. That would be really nice.
Yeah, okay, correct.
Thank you guys for attending and for also the messages in the chat box. It was really nice hosting this session. Keshav, I think you should personally get in touch with Karan, help
Yeah,
him out
he
on
sent
DM
me a
only.
message saying he's submitted. Yeah, I will do that.
Okay, sure, sure. Sure. Guys, if you have any other doubts, please put it in the chat box or raise your hand. We'll clear it out now. Otherwise, we're done for the day. If any of you want to leave, we're done for the day and we'll end the meeting. We'll just wait for another 2 minutes and otherwise we'll end the meeting right now.
Shyam, we've uploaded
Okay.
everything in the Teams channel and we also upload stuff in the WhatsApp group. So even like this content is available forever. So after this last session, you can just go to the Teams channels and look at the recordings if you want. Yeah.
Okay. Keshav, I think we'll end the meeting in another 5 minutes if there are any no other doubts.
2 minutes. I don't think there are any other doubts.
Yeah. Okay. Keshav, I think we should end the meeting now. Is that fine?
Yeah, Karthik.
Karthik, you can end the meeting right now. Thank you guys for